If you ever try to watch a Hollywood film in China, the chances are you're likely to see a very different version of the film. There are a total of 34 films allowed to be imported to China each year, and all of them, I think nearly all of them are Hollywood studio films, big budget, and I know you know the names, Avengers, Thor and X-Men and Captain America. So what about the rest of the film genres other than action and sci-fi? Since none of the big-name Hollywood studios is willing to take the risk of exporting the new content of film and have them screened in a huge foreign market, the audience overseas, nowadays they're kind of overwhelmed by the American spirit. So as shown in the box office statistics last year, very few of the big-budget Hollywood movies made into the blockbuster overseas. Every producer understands that finding the right type of story to the market is the key of the movie's success, and it is especially hard to do in the foreign market, and we need to try out before the final product turns into bubble and burst. The key is to find the rather small risk of failure and get a feedback even before the pre-production starts, and the short film is the solution. And that one was the USC professor's prediction. So by 2020, China is going to be the first place of the box office market in the world. But different from Hollywood, the government in China deposes no restrictions for investments on motion pictures. And they can actually avoid some of the taxes. So hundreds of billions of dollars are waiting in line to be invested into this alluring new product in this century, since the housing price and the real estate, they have reached an epic value these days. But it has been hard for Hollywood studios to do so, because putting the fancy big American names it does not work anymore for the audience overseas. Their taste has been changed with the uprising of China's domestic film studios. And from incorporating Chinese elements into a film to casting the famous actors and actresses into the Iron Man 3 and had a special release in China, the purpose is to alter the exported film to co-production films so that the revenue sharing can be more equal, because the imported films from Hollywood, the Hollywood studio, they only get 15% of the revenue sharing. So both China and America, they're seeking opportunities for pushing the revenue into a global success. As seen in the past several years of trying, the historical stories didn't really attract audience from both sides because of the different cultural values. Standardizing the value will be objected by one side of the audience, and the promotion of the film has never been so important in a foreign market. In this sense, the short film would be the most potent way to test out interest from viewers without investing in huge budget. Due to the lack of the film rating agencies, the censorship of the film is not only a struggle for American directors. This tug of war between the government and its own directors has been going on for a couple of years. And the movie Don't Go Unchained, it was imported into China, but it was only screened for 1 minute in the Chinese theater, and the government called and they pulled it off the theater, called it a technical issue, but it was actually the rating of the movie that got into trouble. So the rules didn't apply to the short films of the ratings things. The short film was originally a strategy for game design companies in China to promote their product. Not only did it help the game companies to adjust their product before it went on sale, it also led the trend of the film industry these days, and the short film, any film less than 90 minutes. A campaign video such as Nicole Kidman's Chanel No. 5, directed by Mr. Baz Luhrmann, can easily turn into a 2-hour-long film and become a blockbuster everywhere because the ad has attracted a significant amount of viewings and attention overseas. What's more, it can also avoid all the restrictions set upon the screening of the films. The financial funding problems will also be solved since the sponsors are waiting in line to invest their money on any opportunities they could find to display their products on a Hollywood production film. And recently, I was invited to go to a cartoon film in China. The storyline of the film is very predictable, even for the kids. And their production team has now solved the 3D technical issues. But all of the filmmakers in China, they now believe that 3D is an indispensable feature to make blockbuster films. In addition, the production time is very limited for them because the theater and sponsor would expect them to release the film maybe like as soon as it is commissioned. So if I commission this film today, it'd be better like released like 2 months after now. It's not only to shorten the contracted time with the actors, but also to get a slot in the theater of showing their movies, because nothing is guaranteed. And one reason behind this is that there's no such thing as film insurance in China. In US, any film, like before it even starts, there are many companies that we can buy the insurance from so that any like prolonged shooting time will be all covered. But in China, the crew is on its own once your production starts. And so while I was at the premiere, one of their biggest investors, he told me that he knew that film wasn't gonna be a blockbuster, not even close to compete with other films that might be showing at the same time. And these days, the investors are everywhere trying to sponsor a movie that has any potential of being a successful blockbuster. So that's the producing companies in China. But undergoing the policy of protecting China's own film market, many production studios refuse to work with Hollywood studios. Most of the Hollywood films exhibit great American spirit, and once the values are injected into the film, there are possibilities that the directors fear the ignoring of their own culture, and partially because they're afraid of the partnership tending to one-sided control, and it's also hard to come into agreement on the revenue sharing. Another day, I went to my friend's premiere of his suspense film, The Deadly Strands. That film became really popular, and he was really proud of it. And when I asked him, he told me that he tested out several shorter versions of the film online already, and it got like significant amount of viewing. So he had confidence that the film is gonna succeed. China is in urgent of finding specialties in the entertainment industry, not only directors, but producers. Because the producers promise like their ability is to incorporate all the resources that he or she has, and to decide whether the film has its potential in the market. Usually, when the revenue income falls below the filmmaker's expectations, we don't try to find the problem on its roots, but blaming on the lack of marketing publicity. However, I believe the situation depends on whether the producer knows well of the industry and its audience. It is hard to find the fittest type of film that Chinese audience likes, because once a criteria becomes popular, it soon fades out to be even mentioned again. The winners are those who has their targeted group of audience, and like a feedback loop, the producer finds their trends and incorporates them into the marketing strategies for each film. Since there are no film ratings in China, the State Administration of Film and Television, they decides whichever film that will go into a theater. And last year, the imported films from Hollywood did not succeed in the box office as expected from previous years. And there are two reasons. Chinese filmmakers, they develop their own criteria that fits the audience, specifically the Chinese own audience. And the other reason was that audience grow tired of the prevalent type of Hollywood films, such as Avengers, Pacific Rim, and Gravity. One might enjoy steak as dinner, but feeding one with steak 7 days like in a row will make them sick and not want to touch it again. The criteria of the film is the standard of measuring its marketing potentials because of the difference of the culture values. The film has its own worth in the audience from the different countries. In order to bring the industry forward, we need to explore the common values. And I mean, of course we need to try, but filmmakers, we don't need encouragement to make films, because the compliments are for the sponsors to hear. And it's the spirit of creativity and courage to innovate and explore the new strategies that drives this industry. Film is more than a product in a production line. It is, I think it reflects and influences our culture. Thus, every single film needs to have its own personality to survive the market. I believe this is true not only for film, but also for every single one of us. Thank you.